The following program was produced by a community producer.
Hi everyone, welcome to Malden Community Conversations. We're here today with Ethan Bagley of the Rehumanization Project. Those of you who've been around Malden a while may know Ethan from some of his other endeavors, but the Rehumanization Project is, as I understand it, fairly new.
It is.
So what is the Rehumanization Project, and what do you do, and why did you choose that name?
Sure. So what is it? Is an effort to address the unsheltered population directly through field outreach, wraparound case management, and non-emergency medical transportation.
Okay.
Because transportation is a huge barrier, amongst others, for our unsheltered neighbors. And that can be like getting to your medication, getting to a dental appointment, getting to a parole appointment. There's a lot of different ways that transportation becomes a huge barrier to accessing and achieving what you're trying to get through working with these systems. So where we fit that, we say compassion in motion. Fully decentralized, fully remote organization. There's no office. The office is the field. So there are two pieces to what we do. First is that part working with the unsheltered population. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we also run a referral service. So any low or no income person or family can reach out and we can help them find the resources that they need. Mm-hmm. Those folks tend to be a lot less complex, which is why they don't require the kind of interventions that the unsheltered folks do.
Interesting. Okay, so that's a great introduction, and I'll have some more questions about that. But why did you choose that name?
So a long time ago, in a city very, very far away called Los Angeles, I lived for about 2 years, and a very good friend of mine and I started just going around and meeting homeless folks and listening to their stories and chatting with local bakeries about taking some of their things at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And taking them out and bringing out nursing students to give health exams. And this was very ad hoc, and we really didn't know what we were doing. And the problem there is just a whole different ball game. If you take Mass and Cass, which is kind of the epicenter that keeps getting cleaned and Boston, getting filled with the homeless population in Boston, Skid Row is kind of like that, but much larger, much larger. We worked in Hollywood. And Murphy, my partner in crime out there, and I loved the name Rehumanization because we kept hearing about, how homelessness is such a dehumanizing experience. And so why not reverse that course? Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like a really easy way to communicate what we were doing. Okay. And it also makes people ask that question.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked the question to tee up your answer then. So you said three things that you do. One of I don't remember the first one. You said case management and transportation. Mm-hmm. Could you remind me what the first one was?
Field outreach. So actually going out where the people are. So part of our core philosophy is we need to take the services to where the people are. Mm-hmm. And that's not just physically. That's also in terms of their capacity, because some of the people that we work with can't get into email. That's not their fault. It's not their failing. They just don't have that capacity. And so they require some additional hand-holding. That's really where the wraparound case management comes in. Okay. Right? Go to where they are, do what you can in the field, ease their burden however you can, sleeping bag, tent, clothing, food, water, what have you. Start to build those connections to the different services that they need, because especially for the homeless population, there's sort of three factors that are in common with a lot of the folks that are in that situation, and that is mental health disorder, substance use disorder, and the unsheltered nature of where they're at today. So if they're under a bridge and they're facing all three of those things, coming to a point of thriving is nearly impossible without significant intervention by other people. That's the kind of advocacy that we're aiming to both give directly through direct service, but also to empower other people to give.
So our unsheltered neighbors, who the big problem that most people think of is they don't have a roof over their heads. But what I hear you saying is that they also are likely to have substance use disorders and or mental health disorders running along with that, that are part of the reason that they didn't have a job or lost their housing, and that they need ongoing support in order to be able to live a life that makes them feel pride in things again.
As fulfilling a life as they can manage. Some folks just their circumstances won't allow them to have a mortgage someday, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize that they don't fit the same envelope that we're trying to fit everybody else into for that program.
Right.
So is somebody a good candidate for permanent supportive housing? Probably. Does somebody need an SRO because they have severe anxiety and trouble working with other people in a social shared space? There's options for that.
Okay.
Obviously the problem that we face in our work sheltering people is just there's no stock.
Right.
Where do you put them?
The housing crisis it hits everyone, and the people
everyone, right.
lowest down end up bearing the burdens of all the problems we create at the higher incomes levels.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but when we talk at least about homelessness, we're not just talking about unsheltered people. That is a part of the homeless equation. The other part is this hidden homelessness, and that is couch surfing.
Couch surfing.
I think probably most of us have a friend or neighbor who's sleeping on their family's couch or a neighbor's couch or a friend's couch. And I've been in that position, and it's awful to not know, like, in the next week, I've got a client right now who's trying to find housing for her mom because her mom's been couch surfing with her for more than 6 months. And like the emotional toll that must take on both of them has got to be so severe.
We love our parents, but anyone couch surfing with you for 6 months, it's going to get burdensome, even no matter how much you love them.
Yeah, and it's good to acknowledge the reality of that burden. I know that folks don't want to feel like they're a burden, but it is totally appropriate, I think, to recognize that's just a feature of that kind of scenario.
Right. And so you're talking about couch surfing. I've also I also had friends who are what they usually refer to as doubled up in a unit.
Yep.
Could you describe that because I think people often don't recognize this hidden homelessness, but they know somebody who might be couch surfing. What are some other forms of unsheltered life that exist in Malden that most people aren't aware of?
I mean, the car sleeping obviously is a big deal. I don't have any idea what the accurate count of folks that are sleeping in their cars in Malden is. I'm sure they are there, aside from the encampments that we know about. And that is also just a horrible scenario to be in, right? Sleeping in your driver's seat with the seat reclined every night and then getting up. I mean, this also is a thing that happens a lot with gig workers, especially in larger cities. This is a huge epidemic in Los Angeles of all your Lyft drivers and Uber drivers who can make enough to eat and go to the gym to shower and find a safe place to park, but not enough to afford housing.
Right.
And so that is something that we're seeing. We have a client who was until recently homeless, living in a car in Boston. But we're able to route her to services, so she's housed.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It must feel really good to make progress with someone so that they can live a little bit more of a dignified life.
Super great feeling to help people get more toward that point of thriving, right? Because again, we don't know what that's going to be for everybody, but certainly for this young woman who was a student at UMass Boston, who had just been kicked out by her family a couple weeks before starting her freshman year in a new city, she needed a strong support, and we just happened to have a really amazing intern from one of the schools that we work with this term who is just hit the gas working with her and got her hooked up with SNAP benefits, clothing for her school, and housing.
And so she's able to stay enrolled at UMass Boston to work on getting an education and bettering her life.
Yep.
That's absolutely wonderful.
Despite not having that kind of support from her family that one would expect a normal scenario to include.
Well, youth homelessness is a huge problem. I know youth is typically defined as like 18 to 24. What are the age demographics of the population you're serving in Malden and the surrounding areas right now?
Most of the people that we work with tend to be older men.
Really? Okay.
45 plus, I would say, 40, 45 plus.
Veterans?
Some are veterans, and we try to hook them up with a great program called Home Base, which works specifically with veterans. I think that the trends that we're seeing right now is an increase in elderly homelessness in particular. Something that I'm excited about, though, that's developing right now, and we work with this organization too, Covenant House, which is an organization that works specifically on youth homelessness, is expanding into the Boston area.
Oh, good.
In the next, hopefully, year or two, they'll have some housing available for youth homelessness.
Wonderful.
And I mean, not for nothing, but there's a significant proportion of youth homelessness that are of color or LGBTQ plus.
Absolutely.
And so they, I think, are, particularly in this political environment, are just going to play a critical role in helping kids, you know, coming from emboldened families in this age.
Right. Yep. When I lived in Miami, one of my friends who did human services work there said that somewhere between 30 to 60% of the homeless youth they worked with were LGBTQ, and in addition to being of color, as the greater Miami area is.
Yep.
His guess was that after someone gets kicked out by their parents, that there's no more than 48 hours before they're going to end up in a truly bad situation of being trafficked or something like that.
It's impossible to know the course that a life will take when you're suddenly lost your anchor.
Yep.
You know, you're right. Like, it could be any number of things, and you're in such a vulnerable position that it can also be difficult to know which help to accept, especially in a place like that, or you know, in a big city.
Right. Knowing that the people offering you help are actually trustworthy and not seeking to entrap you.
Right.
And so what you're trying to do then is build personal relationships with people who need help by doing that field outreach and then offering them case management and transportation.
Right.
So it sounds really like you're trying to build relationships with people as much as anything else, so that they know that there's someone in their corner.
Yeah, and in a recent interaction with a client, that was repeated to me. You know, he said specifically, hey, you know, the thing that really, I mean, it's great that you're bringing me food and you brought me this phone and, like, you know, this other stuff, but, like, the fact that you just check in on me every couple of days really just makes a huge difference in my life.
Yeah.
And you know, understanding that and also understanding that anecdote really is reflective of what we see generally in the population. At our last previous board meeting, I was talking about an outreach trip that I took with one of the students, and we went to a place that we knew there was a structure that people stay in. That person was not there, but another person was there checking on their stuff, and he told us, hey, they're not here. And I actually hadn't seen him. The student had seen him, and you know, we said, hey, you know, would you like some food and water? Because we've got it.
Right.
Come on over. And sure enough, even before taking what we were offering him, the food and water, he first said, hey, there's this homeless veteran over here that you should go help. And that is just, again, one of those repeated sentiments that we get when we do outreach. Is like, hey, thanks for this, but also, you know, so there's a great word of mouth network when you are able to build rapport to the point where people trust you, where they'll tell you about other people who maybe don't have that yet, that you can go start to work on that with.
Yeah. So it's just relationship based.
100%, and that extends beyond that into the services ecosystem, right? All the organizations we want to collaborate with, like, we want to have good rapport with them, but I think we also need to recognize the reality of what some of those organizations are dealing with. A lot of them are monolithic.
Right.
Some of them are very bureaucratic.
Sure.
And so you see in the systems at the state level, at the service provider level, you know, and in the interactions of those systems, another set of barriers. And again, that's kind of why what we do in the wraparound case management, being that intermediary between the system and the person that can't figure out how to open email, becomes so important.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what would you say the three most common needs are? You've mentioned already help with substance use disorders, help with mental health, obviously housing. What are some of the other common needs that people have, and how do you help address them?
Specifically with the unsheltered population, nutrition is a big deal. Hygiene is a frequent request. So hygiene kits in particular, I think that dental health is critical for the homeless population, because dental health has implications for the rest of your health.
Sure.
Even if you're eating nutritiously but you're not taking care of your teeth, you're going to have bad outcomes. So again, when we're talking about that wraparound, right, we've got housing, substance use, mental health, but there's also dental care, eye care, food and nutrition, clothing. Right, so all of those things become part of that circle of care that we're trying to put around each complex client.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for our neighbors who are experiencing poverty or a loss of income, maybe someone's just gotten bad news about their job. What are the services that our Maldonian neighbors should know about that they can take advantage of quickly so that they don't slide?
There are a lot of great resources in Malden. If it depends, right? So one of the ways that we work with clients when they're incoming, whether they are facing a single crisis or multiple, is to have a chat with them and understand what their circumstances are. So if you're in Malden and you're looking for help, we have housing families and ABCD that are experts in helping people navigate the housing system. We have the Bridge, which does amazing work on substance use disorder. They do coaching, they have recovery coaches, the facility is wonderful, and actually ABCD and the Bridge are actually in the same building, along with WIC, which is right next to the DTA. So if you're a person looking for services, Commercial Street's a great place to go.
So like walk from Malden Center Station down
Straight
Commercial
down Commercial,
Street?
yeah, and you can hit those.
How far down?
It's 239 is ABCD.
239 Commercial Street.
And WIC and the Bridge. And then also right across, well, not right across the street, but very close to that, in the plaza that has the I think it's the Super 88 Chinese market, is the Social Security Office, right? So a lot of those, and then Mystic Valley Elder Services, right there on the street. But again, like we've got to talk to each individual person because we don't want them going to Mystic Valley Elder Services if they're not an elder, or
right.
disabled in that case.
Right. So I'm imagining you have little handouts that are like maps of downtown Malden or something.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Paper doesn't last very long for the unsheltered population.
Right.
One of the frequent issues that we face with getting people enrolled in services can be a lack of paperwork, typically identification.
Right.
Because they've lost or don't have who has their birth certificate handy?
Right.
And if you've been kicked out of housing and maybe weren't let back in and your things were destroyed, or there are a lot of different scenarios where somebody can lose all of that. So just helping people get documentation again to prove who they are, because that's the way it rolls now. That's how it works, yeah. And in each, it depends on what state you're coming from in some circumstances, or county, or even town. Right. In terms of the requirements for getting, let's say, a new birth certificate.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't get a driver's license here without having a birth certificate. So there's a cascade of inability to get identification documents, vital records.
And so part of case management is helping to make sure people have documentation.
100%.
And just this morning I saw that someone in Malden had been running down at the football stadium and had accidentally dropped their green card and was like, please help, if you see it, please help us get his green card back to him.
Yeah.
Because these documents matter so much.
So much.
For
a lot of different reasons right now.
They shouldn't matter. We should just be able to treat people as human beings in need of care. But that's not how the funding structures work.
It's not just the funding structure, though. It's also the operations of the systems. Like, I get it. It can be difficult to track people when they don't have identification. And the system is built to require certain pieces of information in order to even set up profiles.
Right.
And it can be difficult to establish those identifications.
Absolutely.
So I get that for sure.
Right. So someone who's experiencing a singular crisis. I think I heard you say things like housing is one of the things you can help with.
Yep.
And people, I imagine many people know about unemployment insurance, but is that the kind of thing you can help people figure out if they've just lost their job?
So for clients that aren't unsheltered, the service referral folks, those folks in less complicated cases, we're basically asking them what city they're in, asking them their demographics, those kinds of things to understand the programs that they're eligible for, and then basically sending them a list and saying, try these things. Checking back with them and saying, did you try those things?
Yeah.
How did it go? And kind of working with them until they stop responding, or they get what they need and tell us that they got what they need.
So you spend your days making lists of people to call and then calling them, then contact tracking.
I have a couple of wonderful interns that are helping with a lot of the referral services this term.
Okay, good. I want to ask about your interns in a little bit, but what are the big gaps in the services that exist where you find yourself stepping in most often at the Rehumanization Project?
So I really believe, and I think it's borne out from a data perspective, that all of the services that we need are here. They do exist. We have the capacity, with the exception of housing. There's just no stock.
Yep.
but the services that help people apply for housing and get them into the queue for housing do exist. And so while the stock isn't there and that buffer time is massive, don't get me wrong,
Right.
like the services exist and getting people enrolled is the important part. So it really behooves people not to go reach out to these organizations as soon as they realize they're facing a crisis, not even when they're in it. You know, if you know you're facing eviction in 30 days, now is the time to go start looking for new places. Don't wait until it's a couple of days before you're going to be out of the place that you're in and trying to figure out what the next thing is.
Right.
Yeah.
If you know that your job evaporated and isn't coming back, say something now rather than wait until the day you can't make rent.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can see the crisis coming, do your best to avert it. And one of the ways to do that would be, you know, to reach out for service referrals.
Okay.
And anybody's welcome to do that.
And how can people get in touch with you for
So
things like this?
Yeah, the website is helprehumanize.org. Anyone can text our main line at 857-339-2356.
Okay.
They can email helprehumanize.org if they want to go into our general referral queue, which is very short right now. So we're welcome.
So
more folks.
at helprehumanize.org.
.org. Yep.
Okay. We will, when we get the video of this made, we'll put a little runner at the bottom of the screen so people can see the URL.
Sure.
And we'll make sure that people know about that.
Sure. And hopefully it's very easy for people to use. When it loads, there's two simple buttons, I need help or I want help. So hopefully that's easy enough for people to work through.
I need help. I need help is it's urgent, and I want help is less urgent.
Let me give some. No, it's
you
two
want
tracks.
to help.
Yeah, so volunteers,
Okay.
people that want to donate, in particular right now, winter gear,
Okay.
you know, and sleeping bags and those kinds of things. So in-kind donations come through with that. A lot of the students reach out through that.
Okay.
Regular volunteers, and then on the other side, it's the first touch that we have with some people where they're telling us about their triage needs.
Okay.
So I think if you get the chance to visit either of those things, you'll see it's a very simple form, and we only ask for the bare minimum on the form.
Okay.
Because we certainly don't want people sharing sensitive information through non-secure channels.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So helprehumanize.org is where people should go?
Yep.
All right. Cool. So you said you have some interns. And we also talked before this about some institutional partnerships you have.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should talk about partnerships first and then talk about internships and how people can get involved towards the end.
Sounds great.
We talked before about how you're partnering with Bread of Life in Malden on a food program. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so when I first moved to Malden and was looking for my next position, I volunteered with Bread of Life driving their van around and delivering their boxes.
Okay.
That's what they do, part of what they do. You know, they have the pantry there and the kitchen as well for folks, and some units now, which is amazing for people to stay in. But when I was there doing this work, prior to their moving to their new facility actually, and taking these boxes out to folks, it really got me interested in doing more social style work again. It really inspired me to get back into the social services like I had been in Los Angeles, because I really hadn't engaged in the social services in the interim time between moving back to the East Coast. And so I maintained and built relationships with people inside Bread of Life. And so when I was ready, I reached out to them and said, here's my plan. I'm going to come pick up food when you have it. I'm going to bag that and take it directly to folks that are unsheltered. And whatever's left is either going to go to our tiny community fridge in my garage or an actual community fridge until it's at its expiry date per the Greater Boston Food Bank expiry matrix.
Got it.
And so actually I had a text from Maria at Bread of Life earlier today. I'm going to be stopping by there after this to get the food and then go drop it off.
Cool, cool. So I'm envisioning that you have a van and you're just driving around with like bushel boxes?
Hatchback with Whole Foods donated tote bags, some from Target, whatever, you know, wherever we can get even just paper grocery style bags. Mark them up, take them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kinds of things does a bag typically have in it?
Well, I mean,
if people can't cook, then you can't just bring them carrots or something.
Which is a great point, right? Because the normal Bread of Life box tends to be things that, because people have refrigeration and they have the ability to cook, these are pasta, you know, these are fresh produce, right? Things that people can store. the good part about what we get from Bread of Life is that it's a mix of some of those things. Sometimes it's, a granola bar or something like that, but they also have fresh salads. Meals, not just portions, but full meals, and those go to the community fridge. But, for the individual portions, for wrapped burritos or salads or, stuff like that, it just goes right in the bag. They'll eat it that day.
Right.
There's no need for refrigeration because it's just going straight into their bellies, basically.
Right. So then you look at your database of people who need help, and you look at how many bags you have, and go give it to the people who are in need.
I sent 7 or 8 texts when I found out I was going to have food, and when I look at my phone later, I'll find out how many deliveries I have to make.
Wonderful. Okay. Cool. So Bread of Life is an ongoing partner in supplying food so that our unsheltered neighbors can have something good and nutritious to eat.
Right.
And you get the calls from Bread of Life at random a few times a week?
So the schedule right now is Tuesdays and Fridays. I touch base just based on their delivery schedule. It sometimes happens on Tuesday, but it's basically almost every Friday I'm able to pick up. Right, and so I can do that first delivery, and because of the way that the expiry matrix works, I'm actually able to hold that food until Monday and make another delivery to those same people on that Monday. And then if I'm lucky, Tuesday, I pick up again.
Right.
Now I've got a full fridge for the next couple of days. So ideally, those 2 days a week mean that I have a sustainable food supply for people that are on the street.
That's good. That's good. I've heard some rumors, by the way, that some people in Malden are interested in starting a Food Not Bombs chapter.
I believe there is a Food
Has
Not
it
Bombs
started already yet?
chapter,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, the last time I heard of it, maybe a month ago, people were still trying to get it started.
I'll check.
But for those of you who don't know, Food Not Bombs is a very loosely organized kind of organization where people take advantage of access to some kind of commercial or church kitchen, make a huge meal of soup and serve it publicly. So that anyone can have a healthy, nutritious meal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that you know more than I do about what's going on.
I think they exist, so there is that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And we talked also about some university partnerships that you have.
Yeah. So being a nascent organization, the best way to grow is really to find intellectual talent and leverage it as best you can. And thank goodness that we're here in Boston, which is like academia epicenter of the world, right?
Right.
I think we still have the highest capita students per square mile in the world.
Yep.
And so, I'm a double Husky, so I reached out to Northeastern. I used to volunteer at Wentworth, so I reached out to them. I've had some interns at previous positions from Emmanuel College and Urban College. A mentor of mine and a board member is a faculty member at Hult. And so and actually 2 of our board members now are alum of Hult. And then I had a really wonderful experience working with some folks from Endicott College and Tufts.
Okay.
And so I've had the opportunity to engage with students at both of those campuses as well.
Good. So lots of students involved. And when you have students working with you, are they volunteers or interns, or do they get credit? Do they get college credit in some cases?
Totally depends on the school.
Okay.
Some are for credit, some are not. Some require a time card, some do not. Some are part-time, some are full-time. But we take all comers and learn the best way to help empower them to have the kind of impact that they want to have when they say, hey, I want to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you take their idealism and help them figure out what concrete results they're going for, so that at the end of the semester or however long they work with you, they can say, I came up with this idea and the organization helped me put it into practice, and here are the concrete results. Here are the numbers about how many people we served, things like that. I remember when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that working with unsheltered students is one of the things that you have a project going on about.
So I mentioned Covenant House earlier in the interview, and as I mentioned, they're moving into this area, and what exposed me to them last year was this event called the Sleep Out, and it was at Gillette Stadium. And so I showed up at Gillette with my bag, because that's all you were allowed to bring was a bag and a sleeping bag, and slept out on the concrete in the rain. All they give you is a cardboard box. So with my cardboard box in my sleeping bag in the rain outside at Gillette Stadium. In November.
In November.
It was raining, which was not great. And at the end of the event at about 4 a.m., when everybody is staggering either back inside or waking up from coming inside earlier because it was awful, they had a circle of remembrance. And so we kind of went around and shared our experiences of the night. And I didn't have like a compelling like moment from the night to share. So I was like, hey, I'm here. I work with the homeless. If anybody has like a sleeping bag that they want to donate from tonight, or hat, gloves, or hot packs or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And I got like a van full of stuff, just for making that simple ask.
Yeah.
And so I've been very happy with the development of our relationship with Covenant House. And in fact, one of the student teams that we're working with at HALT is basically going to help us empower and amplify the Covenant House event this year, which is still going to be at Gillette Stadium.
Okay.
I think it's on November 20th, but I'll have
Okay.
to double check. Sleep Out Boston. Google that and you'll find all the information that you need. Last year, I believe they raised something like $400,000, so I'm really hoping to help them get over that this year. And one of the ways I want to do that is by getting all these students, to step up and recognize, like, hey, this is not only a cool opportunity to go sleep out where the Patriots play, but like a real means to build empathy and to raise awareness.
Yeah, because I would imagine a lot of people end up just staying up all night because they can't sleep on it.
You would
with
believe
no ground pad. And so
I probably got 45 minutes of sleep if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And just as you're saying that, I'm thinking about the many people I know who require medical devices to sleep with, like CPAP machines. If you're if you're homeless and you have a device that helps you breathe in your sleep and you don't have access to power, you're just not going to sleep.
No, and that's certainly one of the medical contexts that people deal with out there. I think one of the most damaging medical contexts that I see with clients, and I have somebody right now that I do this for, is not having access to psychiatric medication.
Yeah.
Right, because again, one of those three things is mental health.
Yep.
And psychiatric medications exist. They are helpful. You have to find the right combination for you, and that can take a long time. But without access to those medications in the first place, there's no way to solve that puzzle.
Keep them stabilized
Exactly.
so that they can function and do the other things that they want in order to begin thriving.
Again, whatever that level of functioning is, it's certainly going to be more achievable when they're able to be medication compliant. And I don't think generally folks are trying to not be medication compliant,
Yeah.
but I'll refer back to my example about identification. Like, you can't just walk into CVS with no identification and say, hey, I want to pick up my meds.
Yeah.
Right, but I can. Any person can go in. You all should know this.
Yes.
Any person can go into a CVS with their ID and the name and birth date of the person you're picking up for and get their meds.
Right, unless
So
it's
if
a controlled substance.
Unless it's a controlled substance,
Yep.
right? So like anybody could do this job that I'm doing for this guy. There's just nobody else in his life that will do it.
Because you're vouching for knowing that this person is John Smith and that his birthday is July the 3rd.
Yep.
That's an incredibly helpful thing to know. I am so sorry that people have that basic challenge.
It's okay, because it's just one of the things. Again, it's a reality that we have to deal with. I think what is really helpful about the intervention that I've just described is that going into the pharmacy for him is like a nightmare, right? And when customer service doesn't provide him with the service that he wants, he can get volatile.
Right.
And the worst scenario is he gets volatile, somebody calls the cops, he gets arrested, the things that he has collected for his sustained existence outside go away, and he has to start from scratch again.
Yeah. So thank you so much for explaining all of this.
Yeah.
This has been really helpful, and I hope that people watching have learned a little bit more about what Ethan's doing with the Rehumanization Project, and that you'll consider getting in touch with Ethan and finding out how you can help. If you have a friend who's low income or no income, and you want to give them Ethan's information, please do. But So you said helprehumanize.org
Yep.
is the website. Do you have any last words for people who about what you do and what you'd like to achieve in the future?
Yeah, I was chatting with one of the interns, and she was, I don't remember how we got on the topic, but my phrase to her was, never feel bad about feeling good about helping other people. I think some people have a hang up about like taking pleasure, feeling good about like getting out and doing the work. And I want people to be able to overcome that barrier, because it's just not a barrier you should have. Feeling good about helping other people is something that everybody should enjoy.
Right. It connects us with our basic humanity, right?
It does.
And
you feel good because you're connecting with you're rehumanizing yourself, I guess, in a sense, by connecting with other people.
Well, and you're breaking the alienation that says that someone else's problems don't touch me.
Yeah.
Because that's so often when we live in cities, just to kind of go about our lives, we have to try to act like the world is not as cruel and heartless as it is. But what I hear you saying is that actively helping in a direct way is one of the ways to break that sense of isolation for those of us who do have an income and who are safely housed.
Yeah, I think that that a great way to help combat the loneliness epidemic that we keep talking about is just to get out and help other people.
Well, thank you for doing this work.
Thanks.
Everyone, this has been Ethan Bagley of the Rehumanization Project. You can find out more about the Rehumanization Project at helprehumanize.org, or what was your phone number?
857-339-2356. Feel free to call or text. Operators are standing by.
Thank you again for joining us for the Malden Community Conversations, sponsored by the Malden Community Coalition. Have a wonderful day. Happy Halloween.